Hello and welcome. Welcome to Friday afternoon here at Go Narrative. I am Matthew Woodget, founder and CEO of Go Narrative. So every Friday, I pick a company and tear down their homepage to find exactly where their story breaks. Today, we're going to be looking at Lightroom.ai, data security, 17.8 million raised. Good job, guys. Way to go. They've even got a patented technology. I love it. And it's called the Data Identity Graph. What a great opening salvo that is for a company. Data Identity Graph. And it's honestly the best headline in the category. We'll be looking at how that plays into everything today. So when I look at Lightbeam's website, when I look at any of these teardowns, I'm looking for one thing. Did this make a decision and then take it back? Between you and me, that's not the only thing I'm looking at when I look at websites and do the teardowns. But this is one of the big ones, and it's what we are going to be looking at today. So as we go and we look at the site, remember that. Did the site make a decision and then take it back? You ready? So let's go. I have seen this so many times, whether it's in the startup world or in the corporate world, roadmap, right? Has your roadmap changed recently? Has it changed this quarter? It seems like almost like destined to change, doesn't it? The thing is those changes to the roadmap, whilst sometimes they can be influenced by things like the market, more often than not, they are not. They are not changing because of the market. They're not changing because a specific call was made. It's actually the opposite. It's because nobody made the call. You following? If not, you'll get there. So instead of having one strategy that everybody can hold, you get multiple strategies. You get 3 strategies, and everybody tolerates it because the market, it sounds kind of like what we should be saying to the market. It sounds kind of like what our category is talking about. And there's all this stuff flying around. So maybe that we should be saying that. I'm so focused on this one thing over here. Like, I'm so focused on getting the website put together, or I'm so focused on getting ready for the next pitch for our next round of funding, or I'm so focused on launching this product that because nobody's making the call and all these other terms are starting to bleed in, right? And nobody made that call. That is why the roadmap ends up changing. And That's when you start to see a company being buffeted by all these different strategies. And the website's no different, right? The website looks exactly like that meeting felt that you were in, where you were having that thought that we just went through. So today I'm looking at a company that opened with the best headline in their category, 5 words that made a real bet, 5 words. And then the website spends the rest of the time quietly taking all of that back. Here's why that matters. It matters because of decision leak. That is what we're talking about. Everything I just said about multiple strategies, about why the roadmap's changing, about things sounding like maybe we should be talking about them, all that stuff that creeps in, that is decision leak. When you have that 5 powerful words as a headline, and then you spend the rest of the website undoing that, that's decision leak. The positioning choice that was made in the headline, the core narrative that is revealing in the headline, is then overruled by committee in the body copy that comes after. Nobody lied, nobody did anything wrong, but the story drifts. And your job as a founder, your job as the leader of your firm, is to keep that story from drifting, to keep it tight. Because as a story drifts, it doesn't hold up under pressure. And if it doesn't hold up under pressure, it'll collapse the moment that somebody tries to repeat it without you in the room. And that is something that, as you make that march towards Series B, needs to happen more and more. Your team has grown. You've got more responsibilities. The way that you're approaching innovation has shifted and changed. You can't be in every room like you used to be. You can't have it all on your shoulders. And if you try, then we know what happens, right? Now, if you have made that decision, the challenge is going to be not letting it drift. And let's fire up Lightbeam's website right now. Here we go. Here it is. The headline: protect the human behind the data. 5 words. A real bet. A real position. A real core red thread of a narrative there. Nobody else in DSPM is saying this today. This is differential. It's defensible because of the patent. It tells you what Lightbeam believe. And the CEO blogged about it on Substack this week. He believes this. The founder and CEO, this is what is driving the passion and driving what he's seeking to do with the business. The question is, what happens? What does the next sentence say here? Simplify data security, enforce governance, and protect privacy at scale. Come on, guys. That's the category pitch. That's generic. That's safe. That's checking the boxes to make sure that we said the right things. But doing it in that subhead is undoing that awesome line that just landed before. Simplify data security, enforce governance, protect privacy at scale sounds like every other vendor. They had made a conviction and then surrounded it with committees. Back to that meeting that we simulated in our minds earlier on, right? So if you scroll the page here, they're claiming DSPM, data classification, privacy operations, and access governance. All of these things, 4 categories. That is not a platform story. It's a features list with a bow on it. And buried in the nav, not in the hero, but buried in the nav, is the data identity graph. Here it is. Not in the hero. That's patented, right? That's the actual reason why you'd buy from Lightbeam over Varonis or Big ID. Lightbeam, you're hiding your best argument. Data identity graph, that is the perfect match with those 5 words that we saw earlier. And this is what conviction surrounded by committees looks like. One strong decision at the top, and then everyone else's priorities stacked underneath, all the way until the original decision is invisible, right? Protect the human behind the data. If we scroll, if we go back to the page, if we start back at the top there, protect the human behind the data, and we scroll down, where are we seeing protect the human behind the data? Are we seeing anything that ties back up to that above? There might be a few places where you might argue, or maybe there might be a loose connection here. But we have to come all the way down here before we start to find what was buried in the nav as well. The fix isn't a new headline. I love that headline. The fix is enforcing the decision that the headline already made. Whatever your homepage opens with, everything after it has to keep that promise. Otherwise, by the time somebody started exploring, they've started forgetting. And you want everybody, whether it's your team, your partners, your investors, or your customers, you want everybody to keep, Lightbeam in this case, wants everybody to keep thinking about those 5 words and to understand that is what Lightbeam stands for. It's a promise. And if you undo the promise, you break the promise. Protect the human behind the data promises to center on the individual, on you, on me. The rest of the site focuses on the platform, centers on the platform, if you will. That's the break. And it's not a writing problem. It's a decision that didn't hold. And that decision needs to reinforce those 5 words, and those 5 words need to reinforce the decision to the point where that is the mandate. And the problem is, when we step out of the room as the founder, what are people saying if that has happened, if that's broken down, right? It's the, you may have heard the reference to a brand being what people say about you when you're not in the room. You've probably heard that, right? So can people tell the story that you want them to tell when you're not in the room? If they can, it's going to support that decision. If everything you do and everything you say is about protecting the human behind the data, if every decision is put through that filter and aligns to that, then you start to only see things that ladder up to that and that support that. And then it lives and it keeps going. And that's why 5 words may be the beginning, but they're not enough. Both in how you express it, but also how you build it. Making sure that where those 5 words in this case came from comes from that core. And I have no doubt in Lightbeam's case, they do come from that core. Have you done the due diligence that Lightbeam have done to come up with that core? Figuring out what that red thread is, the beliefs of the organization, the why of the existence of the organization, the why you are as the founder doing what you do in the first place. And a story that has evolved and grown since your Series A was secured. A story that's grown as you've moved out into the market. Guarantee you will have bumped into resistance with the committees and the platforms and the need to say this. We all experience that. So we need to take pause, check where our story came from, where it is, and where we want to take it so that we come up with that core. And when we come up with that core, we stick to it and we use it as the filter, the guide, the engine of how we take the positioning of the product and communicate it, whether it's with investors or the market itself. So I've got 2 questions, right? Question number 1. If you go and read your website headline right now, pull it up, go have a look at it. Just the one line, just that one headline. And then go and ask 3 people. Could be 3 people on your team. VP of sales, VP of product, VP of customer success. And you ask them, what does the company stand for? Would their answers match the headline? Would they match the body copy? And if those 2 things are different, that is telling. That was question 1, okay? So 3 people. Are they saying the same thing as that headline? I'm hoping the headline's a good one. Okay, question number 2. What is the one thing on your site that you would cut if you had to? But you haven't. And the reason why you haven't is because someone in a meeting somewhere argued that it needed to stay. Yet you still know it shouldn't be up there. It doesn't support what you're trying to do with the company, and you're the founder. Yet they successfully argued something to do with the platform, something to do with the market, something to do with the technology. That is decision leak right there. And it's still up there on your website right now today. And it is corrupting the ability for people to see why you are special and why they should buy you and partner with you and invest in you and not your competition. Where did we start? Do you remember where we started today? So we opened how every priority feels urgent, right? And nothing ships. We talked about it in the terms of roadmap, right? Everything feels urgent. Everything's a priority. If we go deep into the roots of the word priority, it means one thing, not a list of priorities. What is that priority? Because when everything is a priority and everything feels urgent, nothing ships. Everything is slowing everything else down, not focused. And we've seen what that looks like today on a website. You get a headline, makes a real bet, resonates, has a leadership position, and then body copy, which hedges every word of it. Lightbeam has a patented moat, a strong core idea, and a way of talking about it. Best opening in their category that I've seen. And then the rest of the site is doing its damnedest to quietly walk that back, undermining it, diminishing it. At every meeting somebody from Lightbeam walks into, they have to re-earn that conviction once again. They have to re-earn the conviction that their headline already made because the decision is leaking. So if you see this in your company, book a narrative diagnostic. gonarrative.com/book-meeting. Book meeting. We will find where the decision leaked and what it's costing you. And I suspect you will think about this and you will resonate with the idea that there's a whole bunch of stuff that's pulling away from your core idea. And if you haven't got that core idea dialed in, that's another really good reason for us to connect. So I'm going to stop there, stop right here. And everything else lives inside that diagnostic and what comes after that diagnostic. But the free win today is you can see how a decision very clearly leaked with a company that is leading with 5 words that are category defining, strength in position, strength in narrative, memorable. And you've seen what can happen even when that's the case. And that, my friends, is something worth fixing. Thank you so much for stopping by today. See if we've got any questions have come up in the Q&A. Okay, let's pull those up. Well, it seems that everything is landing and resonating. So next step, go have a look at your website. What's that promise you're making? And then how are you undermining it? And I look forward to speaking with you in your very own narrative diagnostic call. Thank you so much for joining today. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to hearing from you about where your decisions are leaking. Thank you so much. Bye for now.